Welcome to ePadashala. Today, in today's class, we are going to look into nutrition and fitness for differently abled. The persons with disabilities are those who have long-term physical, mental, intellectual, all sensory limitations which, when combined with attitudinal and environmental barriers, prevent them from fully participating in society on an equal basis with others. In the year 2001, there were only 5 categories of disability. But today, it has expanded to 14 different categories, each of which is a separate umbrella covering similar subcategories. It does not mean that disability rate has increased, but empathy has increased so much that the problems faced by the challenged are so closely met. We now look into few statistical details. A report of Statistics Profile 2016 conducted by Social Statistics Division, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation outlines that as per Census 2011 in India, out of 121 crore population, about 2.68 crore persons are disabled, which is 2.21% of the total population. A number of international commitments and guidelines came into force in the recent past targeting the welfare of disabled persons. India is a signatory to the Declaration on the Full Participation of Equality of People with Disabilities in the Asia-Pacific region 2000. So, India has ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in 2008. India is also a signatory to the Vidya-mitra Millennium Framework held in 2002 for action towards an inclusive, barrier-free and right-based society. The Vidya-mitra Plus 5 in 2007, they took further efforts towards an inclusive, barrier-free and rights-based society for persons with disabilities in Asia and the Pacific added the more emphasis. The Incheon strategy to make the right real for the persons with disabilities in Asia and the Pacific in 2012 provides the Asian and Pacific region and the world with the first set of regionally agreed disability inclusive developmental goals. The Incheon strategy will enable to track progress towards improving the quality of life and the fulfillment of rights of the region's person with disability. The Sustainable Development Goals 2017 pledges for leaving no one behind. Recognizing the dignity of the human being is fundamental, and the SDGs wish to see the goals and targets met for all nations and peoples and for all segments of the society, and to endeavor to reach the furthest behind first. The implementation and monitoring of these international commitments demand sound database of disabled person. The proportion of disabled persons by type of disability in India as per 2011 statistics says that in type of disability in seeing, out of 100 persons, 18.8 persons are totally visual impaired. Out of that, 17.6% males and 20.2% are females. And the hearing impaired are, out of 100, it is about 18.9, in that 17.9 are male and 20.2 are females. In speech, the disability is about 7.5, and males it goes to 7.5 and females it is about 7.4. The movement disability comes to, out of 100 it is 20.3 and 22.5 prevails among men and 17.5 among women. The mental retardation rate goes to 5.6 out of 100 persons. Among that, 5.8 males and 5.4 are females. No problem. And among mental illness, out of 100, 2.7 or out of 2.7, 2.8 are males and 2.7 are females. The other disabilities are 18.4 and 18.2 for males and 18.6 for females. And the multiplicity disability goes to 7.9 out of 100, 7.8 males and 8.1 females. The disability categories are Individuals with Disabilities Act. It is well known as IDEA, IDEA. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, is a 4-part A to D piece of American legislation that ensures students with a disability are provided with free appropriate public education that is tailored to their individual needs. And next is IEP, Individualized Education Program. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act requires schools to provide special education and related services to the eligible students. But not every child with learning or attention issues qualifies. To be covered, a child's school performance must be adversely affected by one of the 13 conditions below. Special Learning Disability, that is SLD. The umbrella term SLD covers a specific group of learning issues. The conditions in this group affect a child's ability to read, write, listen, speak, reason, or to do math. Here are some of the issues that could fall in this group. They are dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, calculia, auditory processing disorder, non-verbal learning disorder. The other health impairments, like the umbrella termed the other health impairment, covers the condition that limit a child's strength, energy, or alertness. One example is an attention issues like ADHD. Next comes the autism spectrum disorder, that is ASD, as a developmental disability. It covers a wide range of symptoms and skills, but mainly affects a child's social and communication skills. It can also impact behavior. The next is the emotional disturbance. Children covered under the term emotional disturbance can have a number of mental disorders. They include anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, obsessive compulsory disorder, and depression. Next is the speech or language impairment. The umbrella term speech or language impairment covers a number of communication problems. These include stuttering, impaired articulation, language impairment, or voice impairment. The next is the visual impairment, including blindness. A child who has vision problems is associated to have a visual impairment too. This condition includes both partial sight and blindness. If eyewear can correct a vision problem, then it does not qualify. Next comes the deafness. Children with the diagnosis of deafness have a severe hearing impairment. They are not able to process language through hearing. And next is the hearing impairment. The term hearing impairment refers to a hearing loss not covered by the definition of deafness, but this type of loss can change or fluctuate over time. Remember that being hard or hearing is not the same as having auditory processing disorder. Next is deaf blindness. Children with the diagnosis of deaf blindness have both hearing and visual impairments. So their communication and other needs are so great, and that programs for the deaf or blind cannot meet them. Or next is the orthopedic impairment. Any impairment to a child's body, no matter what the cause, is considered an orthopedic impairment. One example is cerebral palsy. This condition is caused by damage to areas of brain that control the body. Next comes the intellectual disability. Children with this type of disability have below average intellectual ability. So they may also have poor communication, self-care and social skills. The Down syndrome is one example of an intellectual disability. And the next disability is characterized as traumatic brain injury. So this is a brain injury caused by an accident or some kind of physical force. And finally, we are going to look into the multiple disabilities. A child with multiple disabilities has more than one condition covered by IDEA. Having a multiple issues creates educational needs that cannot be met in a program for any one condition. So if you have not done so already, you might want to find it out your child is eligible for special education. So if your child is eligible, the next step will be to create an individualized education program, and if he or she is not school age yet, we may even want them to learn about early intervention. And then finally we are going to look into the developmental delay. There are some children from birth to age 3 and the children from ages 3 through 9, and the term developmental delay as defined by each state means a delay in one or more of following areas: physical development, cognitive development, communication, social or emotional development, or adaptive development too. Now comes the survival of the fittest. Fitness along with more nutrition is important for maintaining a healthy lifestyle. We all know this. But being fit increases energy, burn more calories, and may prevent or minimize complications from chronic diseases. Over the past decade, greater attention has been focused on the role of exercise and fitness for the persons with disabilities. So, increased involvement in exercise programs, competitive sports and fitness activities has led to the further inquiry into the broader concepts of performance, prevention of further deterioration of a given disability, and maintenance for activities of a daily living and overall well-being. And we now look into the criteria for chalking out a fitness regimen for a disabled. Classify according to two categories in spite of the disability category. One is based on the ability levels and the other based on the cues. For that, we need to understand the contraindications of each individual and then to check on their interest. And we need to identify their strengths. Provide a continuous reinforcement and do assess before and after the training regimen to navigate in a right direction. If into professional sports training regimen, match their abilities with the requisites of game or sport. Now we are going to see the classifications based on the ability levels. Categorize the heterogeneous group by assessing their ability levels, whether locomotor, partial locomotor, with assistance or with assistive devices. Classification based on cues, and we now look into the agencies promoting professional sports. Special Olympics, purely for the intellectually challenged. So the Special Olympics is for only those who are intellectually challenged can participate in that. Next is the Paralympics. This sport competition is for visually challenged, elite, IZ and locomotor disabilities. Next comes the Deaflympics, only for deaf but not conducting nowadays. For a long time it has been stopped. We now look into the benefits. Low self-esteem and a lack of confidence can plague children with disabilities. Allowing them to have equal access to sports can enhance their gross motor skills, social and communicating abilities, as well as improve their overall health and well-being. Children with special needs will mature physically, socially and emotionally when participating in recreational activities. Some gross motor skills required are the ability to perform controlled movements that require large muscle is known as the gross motor skill. The movements that involve using the large muscles include walking, running, crawling or jumping. Often, children with special needs lack the ability to perform the physical movements properly. So, when disabled, children participate in regular activity. It enhances their motor skills by increasing their strength, coordination, flexibility and balance too. Communicating and socializing. Disabled children frequently miss out on social activities, impede their ability to better their communication skills. So, participation in extracurricular activities can overcome this obstacle by providing them with the ability to engage in social interactions and also develop friendships and helps to initiate their social skills. To have a good self-esteem and academics, children who suffer with their disabilities often struggle with lack of self-esteem. So, they frequently will compare themselves with other able-bodied peers. So, giving them a decreased sense of self-worth is needed. Recreational participation promotes their self-concept, self-esteem and self-worth as well as their body awareness. So, many children will also show improvements in their academics. The confidence that is gained from the ability to attain success in sports will make them feel like they are capable of achieving almost anything. The emotional benefits they can gain through participating in sports are, there are some major issues that many disabled youth will at some point experience. So, having disabled children take part in a recreational activity can aid in preventing from different emotional conditions, including acting out behavior, depression, trouble adjusting to certain situations, stress, anxiety, and bad behavior too. So, providing them with a certain amount of activity can assist their bodies and help them to function optimally. We now look into the nutritional indications and contraindications. Nutritional deficiency in a womb after birth up to 2 years and at various stages of growth and development plays a key role of a child in being born special. So, nutritional insufficiency during prenatal period affects the growth of the fetus in the womb, which may lead to many complications. So, similarly, after the birth of a child up to 2 years of age, the protein sheath enclosing the axon of neurons is determined by rich protein intake. So, the lack of insufficient protein becomes one of the major causes for epilepsy. As a result of this, delayed developmental milestones are very much evident. So, fat and carbohydrate intake influence the physical makeup of every kid. So, if the proportion is low, the fall for underweight category, and in future, if unnoticed, may lead to muscular dystrophy. So, intake of gluten and casein-rich foods made of wheat and maida should be avoided in the dietary routine of intellectually challenged children. The other vitamin deficiencies, while growth of the child becomes the reason for visual and locomotor problems. The below mentioned table denotes the disability caused by the vitamin deficiency. So, just have a look into the table of deficiency due to vitamin. So, vitamin A blindness causes night blindness. Vitamin A deficiency causes night blindness. The symptoms are poor night vision and loss of vision sometimes. And vitamin B deficiency causes beriberi. The symptoms of beriberi are nervousness and weak muscles. And vitamin C deficiency leads to scurvy. The scurvy is a condition found in bleeding of gums and swelling of the joints. And vitamin D deficiency results in rickets. It results in weak bones and decaying of teeth. And also finally the vitamin K deficiency result in hemorrhage. The clotting of blood will get affected. Let us now summarize. Yoga is also considered as a powerful tool or as an effective tool to synchronize the activities of body, emotions and mind. Many studies reveal that yoga is also very much essential for children suffering from mental retardation and autism. So finally, nutrition and fitness helps the differently abled to strengthen their body-mind connections, enhance their learning skills, and also improves communication and listening skills. This also to have increased concentration and attention by providing suppleness to the tight muscles. And additionally, by participating in professional sports too, helps in maintaining their fitness. So in combination with good nutrition can do magics.